Hi everyone, this is Candace, and today we're going to talk about making every lesson one with inquiry. Remember this picture, soda in the sea. I know some people say pop or Coke, but for our purposes, it's going to be soda. The goal, discuss why the inquiry spirit needs to be in each lesson. Present effective strategies. And here it is again, our soda in the sea. Why take the time for inquiry? I know inquiry could take a lot of time. We've learned a lot about it through classes we've taken as teachers, about inquiry lessons, and they were a lot of fun. But when push comes to shove, they do take time. A curious student is an engaged student, and that's why we should take time to include inquiry in our lessons. A curious student has lower defenses. So a lot of times when our students come into class and they're like, ugh, I hate this subject, or oh, this makes me nervous, they won't learn because their defenses are up and they're going into a state where maybe their heart rate is increasing or they're just nervous instead of learning. Discovery is an experience, and experiences are more easily stored in long-term memory, which is where we want our learning to go. Our goal is to get our objectives in long-term memory. So this inquiry helps us to get this in long-term memory. Here's our soda in the sea again. We'll start here. Silly stories. S. Tell students you have a true story. Tell an outrageous story with TPR for keywords. So when I've done this in the past, I've told them, oh, children, I have this story for you. I'll use one example. I told them I went to Puerto Rico and I had a little cricket. We both walked down to this ice cream store that we traveled across the island to get to. And when we got there, we saw that no one was inside. It was closed, but they left a key on the door. So I took the key and I put the key in the hole. I put the key in. Can everyone say key in? Key in. And we did a motion so that the students could see that I was putting the key in. And they repeated after me, key in. Well, we continued going through this story, and I reviewed the story as I went to another TPR. The TPR is connected to the keywords from the real objective. So at the end of when I was done with my story about going to Puerto Rico and having this cricket, I told them, you know what, this really never happened. There really was an ice cream shop one time when I went, but believe me, I didn't go with the cricket. And there was definitely no key on the door that I just put the key in for. Actually, key in, let's say that together, key in, sounds like quien. So today we're learning about the word quien in Spanish. Okay, so the students really enjoyed that. They were learning that day about different question starters in Spanish. So afterwards, they recited the silly story, and when they had the great reveal with the real keywords, they were laughing and they thought it was great and were able to retell the silly story over and over again, and they knew the keywords in Spanish when we practiced them weeks after we had done this. Objective reveal. This is something you can do in each lesson. My recommendation is to vary it up, though, because if something's done way too often, then it's not effective anymore. And notice over here the O, S-O. Okay, the first one was hide portions of the objective when you put them on the board. Have students guess the missing words. At the end, reveal the real objective if they haven't correctly guessed it yet. It's simple. Students really get used to looking at the objective and interacting with what they're about to learn. The next variation of this is give them a visual of the objective. The more goofy the visual is, the better, the more it sticks to students' memories. Have students guess the objective based off of the visual. At the end, reveal the real objective if they haven't guessed it correctly yet. D, dress up. Yes, Miss Frizzle from the Magic School Bus is a master at this. Do make your outfits outrageous and play with the conclusions students make. This gets them really thinking and asking questions. It adds inquiry to the lesson easily without having to do a lot more than dress yourself for the day. So some ideas for using this is an inferencing. Get them to try to guess what they can inference based off of your outfit. Use it for description. Like if you have a sentence and you want them to add different descriptions, they could use your outfit. Use it for content areas. This is where Miss Frizzle uses it. She puts on her planet earrings and stars all over her dress that sparkle, and they're wondering, what are we going to learn today? Where are we going? Well, we're going to the solar system. The last one that I definitely use it for character analysis. One time I dressed like my dad, and my dad dresses kind of goofy. He usually likes to wear long sleeve orange shirts and with dress up pants and sandals with socks on. The students were like, "Oh, you aren't dressing normal. Are you sure you meant to put those shoes on? What are we learning about today? Does this have something to do with our lesson?" Yeah, they were wondering and they wanted to hear what I had to say. We were talking about different aspects of character that we can guess through how they dress, have descriptions that are given in text. And this was just a way to perk their curiosity. A, active inquiry. Well, this is just like the inquiry lesson. It starts with a question, and students unravel the objective as they go. Some ideas are using it in science, the inquiry method, and use it for inferencing and drawing conclusions. Students can be detectives in the classroom. C, cliffhanger. Oh, I love this one because I love a good cliffhanger in books. So I used it a lot during read-alouds. I would read a story and continue reading it, and then all of a sudden, I would stop it right there. At the most intense point in the story, students would scream, "No, you can't end it there. What happened?" And they're asking questions and they're making predictions. And sometimes I wouldn't continue reading if they asked me to. I would read the next day. A lot of students would go home and try to get the book from the library, and they had complete interest in the lesson. They were curious. It also tells stories that emphasize the objective being taught. Use it from real life and then end the story right in the middle at the intense moment when students are questioning. And you can continue the story later on during the lesson or even at the end of the lesson. This really gets students thinking and also asking great questions. Okay, give them a point when you will continue the story because students will really want to know when you're going to continue, and this can be a big production or a small one. It's up to you. So this is something that can be included every day in one lesson if you have enough stories, or it can be once a week, something bigger that you calculated, put down, and wrote. But either way, this is a great way to get students to really love your lesson and to ask good questions. So you see, this is our soda and the C. We have silly stories, objective reveal, dress up, active inquiry, and the cliffhanger. All of these are great ways of adding inquiry to your lessons. So we discussed why the inquiry spirit needs to be in each lesson, and we presented effective strategies, our soda and the C. Can you say all the different strategies? Okay, go for it. S, O, D, A, C. Did you get them all? I hope that helps you. Anyway, this is goodbye for right now.